Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 1, Episode 10. Y'all, we have 2 more episodes left until their very first reunion, and I have to say that so far this has been a pretty good first season for a new franchise. I've been entertained for the most part. This was another explosive episode, and I have so many thoughts regarding so many of the different ladies and some of the secondary characters on this show, aka a certain husband who will be called out because I was appalled when I heard what was going on and how he wasn't home. So yeah, let me not jump ahead. Let's just jump on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. We start off the first scene with Jen. Jen is visibly hurt, okay? She is making her bed and she's just really sad about the after effects of what went down at her husband's surprise party that she threw. She says that she is just disappointed. She's disappointed in herself for how she got out of character regarding Whitney coming to her with some mess. And she says that Shareiff has not been home since the party. Let me tell you something right now. I don't care how mad my husband is at me. We are married. You better bring your black behind home. And if you don't want to talk to me, that's cool. But this whole, you're upset with me, so you're just not going to come home? Absolutely not. Let me not jump ahead because we're going to be discussing that more in depth later on in this recap, okay? So let's just move on to the next scene. So the next scene, we see Whitney, and she is headed on over to her cousin Heather's beauty lab. And they start discussing what the F occurred at Shareiff's party. Whitney says that she's upset, she's confused, she vacillates between confusion and being pissed off because it's like, well, why did Jen react like that? Whitney, I have to get you together real quickly because you were dead wrong, period, for bringing that to somebody at their party. So Whitney trying to feign confusion of, I just don't understand, and I thought I was trying to do the right thing. Girl, it was the right thing at the wrong time. So that's pretty much like you did the wrong thing, honestly, when something like that happens. You had no business bringing that mess to her party. So you're wrong. Heather, I like you, but you got on my nerves telling Whitney, girl, you didn't do anything wrong. She did do something wrong. Heather, you strike me as somebody who has a good amount of common sense and common decency. The way you walk on eggshells with people and the way that you crave people's validation and acceptance of you, I'm actually surprised that you didn't tell Whitney at the party, girl, this isn't the time and the place for that. Let's just be quiet, have fun. You know how Jen gets. But instead, you were like, you know what, let's tell Jen now. I was actually surprised at your judgment for facilitating Whitney telling Jen the mess anyhow at the party. Heather tries to pacify Whitney by saying that Meredith and Lisa are lying and that they're actually afraid of Jen, but they just don't want to admit it. And then she also says that for some reason, Jen sort of puts her friendships with Lisa and Meredith on a pedestal and kind of like, you know, puts them to the wayside. Heather also says that Jen wants to be associated with the upper echelon of Utah, and I guess Meredith and Lisa are the upper echelon of Salt Lake City. So the next scene, we see Mary, and she is in her closet playing dress up. She's letting us know for the 50 millionth time that she loves fashion and fashion is a mental escape for her. So we see Mary putting on this belt and she's having trouble taking it off, and she's asking Charlinda to help her get it off of her. And so Charlinda's having trouble. She's like, I don't know what they did with this belt, child, but I can't get it off. So you see Mary kind of huffing and puffing, and she's making those crazy faces like she always does. So then we see Whitney FaceTiming Mary, and Mary sits down and she's talking to Whitney, asking her how everything is going. Whitney tells her what went down at the party. And even Mary was like, now girl, I know I might be nutty, but even I wouldn't bring that up at somebody's husband's party. Like, you just don't do that. That's rude. I was like, Mary, I gotta give you 1 point for that, because Whitney was just dead wrong bringing that to somebody else's party, period. So Whitney is like, Lisa and Meredith denied ever saying that they were afraid of Jen. And Mary is getting annoyed. She's like, they absolutely did say that. They are afraid of Jen. I don't lie. I don't say things that aren't true. I said, okay, girl. Mary is like, look, I hope that you and Jen can get it together. I hope that you can talk to her and just clear the air. I'm praying for you. And Whitney's like, yeah, I'm going to have a talk with Jen just to make it all right, or hopefully patch things up. And they end the call. We move on to the next scene. So the next scene, we see Lisa, Meredith, Seth, and John all go out for a double date dinner, and we all know that Lisa and Meredith just love each other so much. They're like best friends, and they call each other sisters. They were even dressed pretty identical to each other, and they get to talking about the whole situation with Jen and how they don't really want to be around any of the other ladies. Lisa makes it clear that she really only connects with Meredith and nobody else. She's like, it's like pulling teeth to really connect with the other ladies. I'm just not feeling them. I don't really need to be around them. And honestly, Lisa, we don't really need you on this show because you don't bring anything. You bring a dry storyline, a dry personality, and nothing to talk about. So, girl, I feel the same way about you. I don't need to see you come back for season 2. Yeah. That dinner scene with them wasn't really that interesting, so we can just move right on along. So the next scene, we see Heather and Whitney driving on down to this spa. Whitney has invited Jen because she wants to make amends. And we see the spa, and it's very like hippy dippy. It was not 5-star at all, okay? I was kind of like, now, girl, if you would have invited me to this place, I would have said, okay, I'm turning back around. I'm about to go to the Four Seasons and book a facial and a massage there. So Whitney and Heather get there and they change into their bathing suits. They're going to be sitting in a hot tub and just soak and just talk it all out. Jen gets there and Jen is annoyed. She's like, are you kidding me? Like, I drove 3 hours and 45 minutes away from my house to go here. You see like this like trailer and some like busted up RV, and she's just not pleased. Like, this is not 5-star at all. I was expecting, like I said, the Four Seasons, the Ritz-Carlton, and it's like, girl, what is this, honey? So Jen gets there. They all get into their hot tubs and they are going to hash it out. So Jen starts talking. She's really emotional. She's talking about how her marriage is on the fritz. She has been planning this party because she wanted to do something really special for Shareiff. She also lets them know that she has never planned a party for Shareiff in the 25 years that they've been married. Her marriage is now effed up because of Whitney and this whole situation that went down at the party. She also says that Shareiff has not been home since Saturday. So he hasn't been home, I guess, in like 3-4 days. And he's not even taking her calls. So she's getting more and more irate, and she's screaming at the top of her lungs now with like tears coming out of her eyes. She's pissed. So I guess Whitney rolled her eyes, or looked like she rolled her eyes. And Jen is so pissed. She's like, roll your eyes again and I'll drown you in this hot tub. And she starts splashing the water, and the water is getting on the producers. So we hear the producers like, girl, why are you splashing water on us? We didn't do anything to you. And so she leaves the hot tub, storms off. She's just really pissed. So Whitney is upset, and Heather is like, Whitney, I think you're being a little bit dismissive. You need to stand up for your friend and just apologize. So then Jen finally comes back to the hot tub and she is just pissed. She's crying. Whitney gets out of her hot tub and joins Jen in her hot tub. And she's like, Jen, I'm really sorry. I hope you can forgive me. Like, please, like, I'm just really sorry. I did not mean to cause any chaos or confusion. Like, please forgive me. So Jen in her confessional is like, girl, I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget about this incident. Like, I'm still kind of pissed. Heather brings up the fact that she feels like Jen is going to push her and their friendship away and going to ditch her for Lisa and Meredith because she feels that Jen places more importance on her friendship with them over their friendship, and she starts crying and she says that she has PTSD from her marriage and she feels like every time she establishes a boundary or puts her foot down, people leave out of her life. She gives the example of how when she stood up to her husband, he left. She's always been the go along to get along girl, and she always puts her feelings last and just lets people walk all over her, but now she wants to put her foot down and establish boundaries, and that's what you should do. I'm not going to hold you. Heather, I like you, but I'm going to need this sob story, woe is me, every single week to come to an end. I'm getting tired of hearing the same old story about how your marriage scarred you for life, how, you can't find a man, how dating's so hard for you, how this and that. I'm tired of hearing it. I really am. Whitney and Jen, let me just get y'all two together. Whitney, you were really failing to take accountability for the role that you played in ruining the party. You should not have said anything at the party. That's not what you do at a party. You have fun, you bring a gift, you shut up, you smile, you dance, drink some liquor, champagne, whatever, and just mingle and have a good time. But bringing all this he said, she said nonsense to somebody's party, that's not cool. The same way you were upset when Jen pulled that BS at your 1920s party, you shouldn't have done it to her. Jen, I have to get you together. While you have every right to be upset at Whitney, because I would be pissed too if somebody brought drama to my party. You have every right to be upset, but you don't have the right to sit up there throwing glasses, making a complete jackass of yourself for no reason. And you really need to stop all that yelling at people. You can let people know that you're upset with them without you yelling at people. That's one thing that really drives me crazy about you. You start yelling at people. Nobody likes to be yelled at. Don't yell at people. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at anybody. And you're lucky that Whitney is kind of afraid of you and that she's kind of meek and mild, because if you pull that yelling stuff with somebody else, the result's going to be a whole lot different. You would really be cursed out for filth if you pulled a lot of these stunts that you pull with other people with somebody else. You need to cut that yelling down. And please stop trying to blame everybody else for your marital issues. Whitney is not the cause of your marriage going downhill. And I'm going to get on your husband, Shareiff, in just a minute, because that next scene, he had me messed up coming back into the house 4 days later. But I digress. Jen, the problem with you is that even when you're in the right, you can still make it so that people will not side with you. Had you just said, Whitney, I'm not doing this with you right now, have a seat, leave my party, everybody would be on your side. But the fact that you threw the glass, started screaming, you made a complete fool of yourself. Season 2, Jen, please, and I'm not saying this to be mean or shady, Season 2, please tone it down. I have watched every single Housewives franchise. I know when somebody is doing the most because they want to be the star, and it fails every single time. Be yourself, take it down 5 notches, and I promise you, Season 2, you'll have a lot more people on your side. You give folks a cute look, you have some good fashions, but girl, just tone it down with all this screaming and carrying on. So we get on to the last scene of the night, and Shareiff, aka Coach Shah, better known as Jen's husband, who ain't never home, finally comes back home. And we find out that he was gone for 4 days, has not returned Jen's calls. She didn't know where he was. And she is nervous. And I think it's so funny because Jen kind of reminds me of Kenya from Atlanta. Whereas Kenya has a lot of heat for other women, but when it comes to being around her man, she's anxious and just like quiet as a church mouse, and she's this little, sweet little thing. And I think that is so funny for women who have all this smoke for other women. When they get around a man, then they're all meek and mild and quiet. No, have that same smoke that you have for these other ladies. Have that for your husband. So Jen is happy he's home, but she's also anxious and nervous, and she says that she's walking on eggshells when she's around him. And she's also nervous that he's going to want to end the marriage because she doesn't know what he's going to say. She's like, is he going to be done with me because of my outburst at the party? Like, what is he going to say? So Shareiff comes on up to the bedroom, and she comes out the bathroom, and he's like, hey, baby. And she's like, hey, honey, like, what's going on? They sit down to bed, and he addresses the whole party. He says, thank you so much. I love that you wanted to throw that party for me. I had a great time, but you and all this drinking, that doesn't fare well with you. Like, there's always an issue when you start drinking. And so Jen lets him know that she drinks to numb the pain. So then he's looking all concerned, like, what do you mean, baby? What do you mean? And she's like, the pain of you never being home, the pain of my father dying last year. So then she starts crying, and he's trying to console her. And then she finally lets it be known that she still harbors anger and resentment towards him for not showing up to her father's funeral. Let me tell you something right now. If my spouse did not attend my parents' funeral, divorce papers would be drawn up the next day. Shareiff didn't really have an excuse either to why he did not go to her father's funeral. I'm sorry, but there are so many high Division I head coaches. There are so many NFL coaches, NBA coaches who still make time for their families. Shareiff is an assistant coach. There is no reason in hell that he should be gone 24/7 like he is all the time. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's not adding up. So Shareiff says that there was a time in their marriage where he was drinking a lot and doing some things that he had no business doing. And I said, oh, what does that mean? Inquiring minds would like to know. And he says, and you forgave me. I said, I'm not trying to be shady, and I'm not trying to speak bad about a marriage, but I'm really beginning to suspect that there might be another woman on the side, or that they dealt with infidelity prior. Because for him to say, and I was doing some things I had no business doing, but you forgave me, what does that mean? I just have such an issue with these men who want to be married, but they don't want to play by the rules of marriage. I don't care how upset you are at your spouse, you better come home. And it's just so funny to me because for Jen to be so outspoken and for her to be so boisterous and for her to be so loud, it's just really funny how she tolerates this BS from Shareiff and how she walks on eggshells with him, and she's just so happy when he does come home. The way these divorce papers would have been drawn up, the way the locks would have been changed. This scene also reminded me of Drew Sidora and her marriage with Ralph, with that fool not coming home, and he's leaving town for 3 days and not coming back and not answering the calls, not picking up his phone. I said, it's a lot of nonsense in these marriages. A mess. A mess. This episode was very good. I was thoroughly entertained. Next week's episode is going to be good. They're going on their cast trip and they're going to Vegas, and it looks like Jen is about to be cursing out Lottie Dottie everybody once again. So you already know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Bye.